and welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. I am Mark Storrs, and with me as always is...
Crass.
And...
Rob Morphy.
Thank you all so very much for joining us. Gentlemen, I had an interesting situation unfold last night at around 10:38 a.m.
Wow. It's precise as fuck.
Yeah.
This is a little cybersecurity tip for everybody out there. Apparently, somebody jacked my credit card.
No.
Yes.
Fuck.
My bank alerted me immediately because they tried to open or charge like $140 some odd to Ashley Madison, which is a website for people that are looking to get into affairs.
Oh.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. No, heck, your account. Oh my God. That would have been such a black eye on your sterling reputation.
Yeah.
And then before they tried to sign up for that, they apparently tried to order flowers. So I was like, huh.
Oh, someo's going down to fuck. They're going to get it.
So what you're saying is you sneakily tried to cover your tracks by saying you got hacked. I get it.
Yeah, no, I was
wink, wink.
I was actually in bed with my lovely wife Nicole, and we were watching a Bob Ross documentary, and she had already fallen asleep, and I was drifting off to sleep, and my bank alerted me to these activities, which I promptly ignored until 9 in the morning because whatever. Like, it's fraud. They got caught. It's no big deal. But keep an eye on your credit cards. Maybe, I guess, be more, alert to where you input your card on the internet, even though I don't think I've inputted my card in a place weird. But you never know.
I know. So how's that 9-step verification working out?
Well, actually, it worked pretty good because they caught it. So it ended up working out.
Would have caught it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was my morning, and then my card got shut the fuck down, and Disney Plus promptly emailed me of like, we're gonna clip your account because we can't charge you anything. I'm like, motherfucker, it's been my whole day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been
Disney
awful.
Plus. You'd think they would understand false infidelity and credit card thievery.
Exactly.
Of one profile, one platform that would get it, it would be Disney Plus.
Son of a bitch. So yeah, that's going to be the rest of my week dealing with that. Robert, Patreon is a thing that we enjoy dealing with. Thank you to everyone that supports us on the Patreon, patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. $1 is a shout out, one bonus audio. $5 is the bonus audio. No more than 4 bonus audios, that is, plus the shout out. Both of those get access to the Discord. Thank you to everyone that supports us over there. Robert, let's do some shout outs.
And how? Beginning with Schnozwangler, which is wonky as fuck.
Yeah, totally.
That's
Thank you.
phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
Moving on. James Hamilton.
Hell yeah, James.
Almost a founding father. Really close.
Really wicked close.
Wicked close.
I thought it was, but...
Franziska Schmid.
Thank you.
Beautiful name. Gabriel Krog.
Nice. Thank you, Krog.
That's like a Highlander banged a Klingon. Dorian Schuler Teach Out.
A local fella to us. What's going on, Dorian? Thank you so very much.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Laura,
what's up?
is that our buddy Laura?
What's up again?
It is.
Oh,
Because Patreon
thank you.
is a jerk.
Chris and I had a lot of phone calls. Part of this week and most of last week, just with me saying that I'm going to stab Patreon in the face.
Wow.
But it's okay. I think they may have
Is
fixed
Patreon's face safe as of now?
I think Toby from Patreon may have actually fixed some shit for us. So thank you, Patreon. And thank you, Laura, for understanding that Patreon can be a pain in the ass.
Yes. Also, Christoph Scott.
Yes. Now, actually, Christoph has a SoundCloud. It's soundcloud.com/Christoph-Scott. He sent a shout out. He's like, hey, just so you guys know, I'm a musician. Here's my SoundCloud. If you guys could talk about it real quick. So I will say this. He has a really fucking dope cover of I Come From a Land Down Under. I've listened to it like 7 times. It's really good. So check his SoundCloud out. Look him up. Christoph Scott.
Men at
Christoph
work.
with a K. And thank you so very much for your support.
Andrew Devitt.
Hell yeah, Andrew. Thank you.
Taylor Tiefenthaler.
Hell yeah, Taylor.
Oh, you're going to win a Nobel something. Stony Soprano.
Oh, shit. Stony, been waiting for you. Thank you so much.
Utokian.
Yeah, Utokian.
Captain Jim.
Fucking Lieutenant Dan and Captain Jim, what up?
Brooke Snow.
Hell yeah, Brooke.
That's either an excellent 80s porn star name or like the heroine of a junior adventure fantasy set in the winter world of Larnia or some shit like that.
Larnia, my favorite.
Not a knockoff at all.
No, not at all.
Either way, Brooke, whatever you're doing, however you're living, thank you for signing on.
Yes, thank you so very much. Before we get started, though, we have a quick merch announcement. Hellerspace.com. Get yourself them t-shirts. This episode will be up on a Monday, and these designs will already be launched. Hellerspace.com. Check it out. We have hopefully a shirt that won't get us sued by Glenn Danzig, but probably will. whatever.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. It's a.
I mean, it's a loving, gentle, distanced homage.
We'll give him a shirt. If he bitches, we'll give him a shirt.
Freebie.
First, we'll pat him on the head.
Yeah, we will. Gently.
Because he's shorter than me.
Compliment his legs.
And then we'll give him a shirt.
And we'll be like, here you go, Mr. Danzig. Here's a shirt. So
Everything's good.
You can get the Cryptonaut Podcast Heller Space Fiend t-shirt there. And also, too, a little something here that if you're a patron, you're going to totally get this reference. But if you're not, you're going to have zero fucking clue what we're talking about. But a listener of ours, Axie Alvarado, actually did up this. Rob and I had a discussion, and I tricked him into thinking about river gnomes. And Axie did this really cool interpretation of a river gnome with pit vipers and crocs.
Yeah, full on.
And there are two different versions of this. There is like the 80s synth wave, and then there's like the summertime Hobie version of it.
The old time 80s summer blockbuster version.
Yeah, so be sure to check those designs out again. That is hellerspace.com. Also, too, there is two versions of the Misfits Fiend Club ripoff Don't Sue Us Danzig t-shirt. One is just green and one is black, and one is white. So be sure to check those out. Our merch schedule, actually, it's looking like in October as well. We're going to have some more shirts dropping, so we're trying to like get more designs kind of pumped out there to everybody because everyone likes different shit, so we may as well
absolutely
accommodate everybody. And yeah, shout outs again to Axie. You can check him out on the Instas. We'll put a link in the description of this podcast. It's also going to be in the description of the t-shirt where you can check out his work as well. He's an awesome artist. And the fucking River Gnome is just one of my favorites. So I'm fucking...
It's fucking funny.
It's fucking hilarious.
One of your most elaborate lies.
And if you're not sure about the River Gnomes, definitely jump on the Patreon to hear me
get crypto duped by fucking Mark Stores.
Poor Rob, yeah.
Well, trusting a friend. Who'd have thought how dangerous that would be?
Dude.
Right.
God.
You know me, dude. Come on. I'm awful. Anyway, this week we're talking about walking trees.
Walking trees.
Uh-oh.
I mean, not the sitting kind.
No.
Not the sleeping kind.
No. I mean, they might be chaise lounge trees.
Yeah, right. They could,
Okay.
They could be Are they moonwalking?
Good Lord. I'll tell you what, spoiler alert, some walk in the moon, but I believe in a forward fashion. So we're not going to get, frankly, awesome 80s dance moves here.
No.
All right.
I don't really want to hear it then.
Could they be capable of it, though?
Pick a new story, babe.
Done.
Oh, no.
All right, let's get started with whether they are found in L. Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz or J.R.R. Tolkien's fantastical Middle Earth. The idea of sentient, mobile, tree-like beings have ignited imaginations across the globe. But what if entities like Marvel Comics' eponymous Groot were not merely works of fiction, but based on something ancient, alarming, and all too real?
What fucking if?
Dang. Let's hope not.
Yeah.
I don't need that shit in my life.
But you might have to deal with it.
You guys know
at
how I
some
feel
point.
about trees, so
Well,
I really don't, actually.
I'm not a fan.
Who's not a fan of fucking trees?
I'm not a
I'm
fan.
just not into them.
What
What,
have
you
they
don't like
really
oxygen?
done to you?
You don't like paper? You
They-
don't like houses
they
and
drop-
lumber?
Fruit.
Fruit? Yeah, exactly. I mean, their gifts are myriad.
They drop leaves in my yard.
Oh, you're anal about the lawn?
And in your sister's pool, they drop leaves.
Oh, yeah. No, that's an affront to our whole family. Vengeance is mine, saith Uncle Rob.
I'm your sister's pool boy, excuse me.
I know.
Yeah.
And, well, I'm very grateful. Fucking leaves, dude.
If that tree wasn't there,
Capitalist Mark.
Oh, boy.
They fall on my roof. Gotta get rid of
Stay
them
on the
all.
ground.
I don't have any trees in my yard.
Is that the way you like it?
Actually, when I was going to buy the house, I'm like, there's no trees. Fucking sold. Totally. My neighbors have trees everywhere. I got nothing. I got a little tiny pine tree or some shit in the front that I want to chop down, but my wife won't let me.
I don't even know who you are.
I know.
He's a killer.
Yeah.
He's a killer.
We can live in this world together, even though we have different beliefs and ideals.
Oh, yeah. Fucking
Yeah.
lumberjack holocaust over here.
See how we like to turn
Union
tables?
Light.
Like you're the bad one for trying to save oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Robert, let's get started.
Yeah, with protest, sir. Of the estimated 4 billion species that have evolved on Earth, nearly 99% have gone extinct, most without ever leaving a trace of its existence. Nevertheless, the Earth teems with living organisms that follow a strict hierarchy of biological classifications. But for now, let's limit ourselves to a discussion of phylum, the taxonomic rank below kingdom and above class. The 5 phyla accepted by academics include a breakdown almost any child could comprehend: animals, plants, fungi, protista, and bacteria. While the latter 3 classifications are by far the most prolific, the first 2, plants and animals, are what our senses tell us we are surrounded by, and apart from recognizing each as being living organisms, our perceptions, flawed though they may be, further indicate that these 2 phyla couldn't be further apart. Our senses tell us that animals are, by and large, dynamic, intelligent, and short-lived, while plants, particularly trees, are, with the exception of decades-long growth spurts, sedentary, unthinking, and even when compared to the most long-lived animals like the tortoise, possessing a longevity that would make even Methuselah envious. While plant intelligence is a subject that is near and dear to my heart, we are going to save that particular discussion for a wholly dedicated pod, and instead chiefly concern ourselves with an array of rare yet utterly fascinating reports, that of allegedly ambulatory arboreal entities, fucking walking trees. These animate things may or may not possess even basic animal intelligence, but eyewitnesses swear they can perform a feat unlike any other flora. They can walk. Oft eclipsed by its more massive scientific sibling, cryptozoology, the field of cryptobotany is the search for formally undescribed plant life. While much of this quixotic flora, like the Brazilian devil tree or the Madagascan man-eating tree, are alleged to be huge, undulating, and decidedly carnivorous, very few have been described as being capable of self-motivated locomotion. These beings seem to have forged a biological bridge between these 2 different fields of fringe science, and despite their rarity, intriguing reports of these often towering timber terrors force one to consider not only the physical but the intellectual capabilities of vegetation.
This is all going back to your love for emotional plants.
They're emotional, they're thinking, they're here. Get used to it.
These could be hateful.
Wow.
They could very well be hateful.
Yeah.
In fact, vengeance might happen, and hopefully it won't suck as bad as M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening, which is one of the worst films I've ever sat through.
It's
I
really
never,
bad.
I never actually thought about that.
I was so excited. I was such a big fan of his, and still am. When he was good, he was great. But,
Yeah.
oh, God, what a misfire that film was.
I'm surprised you still
that was
like
really
plants
bad.
after that movie.
Oh, I love plants.
Even after watching that, you weren't like, boo!
I like breathing.
Well, because it's not
I
real.
like eating.
Mark.
I like green. It's fiction. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
I mean, I know you think it's a documentary, but it's not. It
I
didn't
know.
happen. It didn't really
No,
happen.
as subtle as Marky Mark's performance was,
Hey, Mark
As
Wahlberg.
realistic
subpar, oh God,
as he was in
it's
that.
grating and unbelievably horrible as he was.
killing us. That sounded like some weird. I don't
Fucking
know what that
terrible
was.
Mark Wahlberg. Not Marky Mark. Mark Wahlberg. Thank you.
Marcus D. Wahlberg. How's your mom? Okay. Marky Mark Wahlberg aside. So before we get started in the actual accounts, I want to give a shout out to the YouTube channel Beyond Creepy, which I've been a fan of for a while and used as a resource a lot lately. It's really an excellent show with thorough research. They use a lot of Phantoms and Monsters, a lot of Albert Rosales' great research, and a lot of the research the individuals do on their own. So anyway,
Nice.
if you're interested in like just the facts and the accounts as they stand, it really stands as a very intriguing resource, and I highly recommend it. So a lot of these came from that, and I just wanted to establish that right out the gate. Our first account is as ill-defined as it is eerie. According to the report, in 2011, an unidentified woman living somewhere on the eastern coast of the United States, vague much,
Somewhere.
claimed to have had a brief yet unnerving encounter with one of these bizarre beings during, appropriately enough, a dark and stormy night.
No.
Don't say.
The woman claimed to have been startled by the sounds of tree branches whipping against her window. It wasn't just the violent scratching sounds raking across her screen that worried her, but the fact that she knew that there were no trees anywhere near that particular window.
Get your chainsaw ready, lady. Get that fucking blowtorch prepared.
Looking out into the windswept darkness, the woman was shocked to see that a full-grown tree, its skeletal limbs flogging against her home, was now situated outside of her window, as if it had always been there. Frightened and evidently unwilling to leave her home lest she come into contact with the faceless fiend, the woman employed the adult equivalent of hiding underneath the blankets and pulled down the shade and crawled into bed.
If there's a tree,
I mean, that's it. She won, right?
Yeah.
no,
She got
dude.
in
If
the
there's a
bed.
tree outside your house that wasn't there an hour prior, it's a problem.
That is a problem.
yeah.
But you're in your bed and you have the covers.
It doesn't matter.
And
It's not gonna-
here's the
it's
thing.
not going to get the tree to fucking leave.
How do you know?
While Chris is right that the covers are the ultimate protection
How do you
against
know?
paranormal, and we know that. We know that for a fact. That's just a dead up established fact. Beside that very sage thing that she did, what do you do? Like,
Yeah.
how do you even, like, I don't know. I don't know what I do. I feel like I have to go out and look, but then
yeah.
I'm having flashbacks of 82's Poltergeist, and I know what trees can do.
No.
As well as puppet clowns, as well as, amorphous orifices living in your bedroom closet
You got to grab a pole saw from the shed and start cutting that fucker down.
in the middle of a storm.
Sure shit.
Oh, you might not win against the tree. The
No.
whipping tree.
No, well, hey, you know what? You take your chance. You stand your ground against a tree.
Oh boy,
There you go.
there it is.
it is.
Stand your ground.
Well, let's see what happened to
All right.
mysterious woman in the colonies.
Yeah, and one of the original 13,
Somewhere on the East Coast.
and/or Florida. After a presumably restless night of listening to the incessant, almost animalistic scratching at her window, dawn finally broke, and the eyewitness mustered the courage to go outside and see what had caused the infernal racket. The woman knew that as violent as the storm may have been, the gales weren't nearly strong enough to have blown a massive tree into her yard, much less set it upright just feet from her home, or somehow inexplicably bury its trunk in the soil. But she still hoped to find evidence that that was exactly what had happened. When she stepped out into the yard, the woman confirmed what she had already known. There was no tree outside her window. There were no gouges in the soil, much less deep holes in the ground. In fact, the only indication that the monolithic marauder had ever been present were the piles of shattered limbs that had apparently broken off during its night-long barrage of her home. Undeterred, the woman made a search of the neighborhood, hoping beyond hope that she would find the woody detritus of the mysterious tree and put the whole enigma to bed. But she could find no evidence that it ever existed, save for the jagged shards of branches that lay beneath her windowsill. It was, she would later speculate, as if the tree had simply stood up and walked away. While one can't blame the witness in this case for wanting to remain anonymous, hell, if seeing a UFO or a Bigfoot is considered socially taboo, what would being attacked by a tree do for your reputation? The lack of geological information, save the east coast of the U.S., is a hindrance, as it's impossible to know if the incident occurred in the traditionally hurricane-prone southeast,
Right.
or the newly hurricane-susceptible northeast.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
apparently, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we're becoming Florida.
No, I mean,
it's weird.
Yeah, being that
No,
climate change
definitely.
is real and it has a real effect on the real world. Yeah, we're all becoming Florida.
Yep. All
That's the infection.
right. R.I.P. Ice.
Oh boy. Well, I can live with some things going.
Yeah, I can live with less snow.
I mean, polar bears are dying, guys.
All
We've all
right.
seen the videos,
Oh,
right?
I mean, not where they live,
you're down
just
with polar bears,
here.
but you hate trees.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Well, I love polar bears too. I'm
Polar
just
bears
wondering where you draw
breathe
the line.
oxygen for humans.
Oh, I didn't know that. They're rebreathers.
Yeah. I mean,
That's their
he
niche
knows.
in the evolutionary
Yeah.
scale. Okay.
They eat glaciers. And their shit and their poop
Yeah.
and farts is oxygen.
Exactly. Welcome to my new world.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
And the penguins. I almost said penguins. You guys like penguins? Want to go to zoo to see some penguins?
That's a hell of a penguin you got right there.
Holy shit.
All right.
All right. Still, if we take the observer at her word, the winds were not prolific enough to move a tree, much less remove all evidence of its bulky body. And even though she did not see the base of the object move, its very existence remains a puzzle. But although this individual never saw the thing walk away, there are others who, to their eternal chagrin, claim to have seen just that. So in this story, this is why I opened with it. You got to take it with a grain of salt. It wasn't supposed to be there. It's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She seems to see, granted, it's dark and it's rainy and it's windy. Not maybe torrential, but bad enough. It's whipping its branches against her house and it seems to be embedded in the ground. and then it's not. And there's no holes to indicate it ever was, and there's no indication it was ever there.
Yeah.
Except for the little branch parts left behind. So that does not give us a walking tree by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Right.
It sets the tone, maybe.
Okay. Fair
And
enough.
Now we're going to move on. This next report comes to us from the Western Bigfoot Society newsletter, which published an account of an event that allegedly took place in August of 1995 at the Sierra Sky Ranch, located not far from the southern entrance to Yosemite National Park, in Oakhurst, California. You know, the Fresno Nightcrawler infested Yosemite National Park. According to the report, 3, once again unnamed, young men were camping when at about 2 a.m. they decided to do some night hiking. Armed with flashlights, the trio made their way down a winding road when they were startled by a loud rustling, as if something massive were making its way through the forest next to them. One of the hikers aimed his flashlight into the shivering shrubs, hoping to discern the origin of the sounds, when he spied something that would forever sear itself into his memory. According to the Western Bigfoot Society newsletter, the eyewitness's beam caught sight of an antediluvian horror seemingly culled from medieval legend. Looming next to a tree was a huge, nearly 20-foot tall, man-like figure with an epidermis that seemed to be made of tree bark and green, leafy tendrils emanating from its long, spindly extremities.
Is it Swamp Thing?
It's very much Swamp Thing.
Of course, that's what you're thinking.
Sweet.
Or it's an Ent from fucking Tolkien. Or
Ah, man,
Right.
come on. It's Alan Moore's
It could
Swamp
be.
Thing.
All right, fine. I'll
Thank
give you
you.
that. It was as if a colossal version of the Green Knight had stepped out of Arthurian lore and into the 20th century. The hikers stared in shock at this hulking tree man before sprinting back to camp, hurling their gear into their vehicles and hightailing it out of there, lest, by accidentally infringing on the sovereign territory of this presumably endemic species, they cease being good friends on holiday and unintentionally become statistics in a future David Paulides 411 book. They didn't want that. Nobody wants that.
Nobody
You
wants
don't
it.
Nobody
wanna-
said. Nobody
no.
puts like. And what are your dreams, Billy, when you grow up in their 3rd grade fucking like what you did in your summer fucking essay? I want to be in a David Paulides book.
Yeah,
I want to
no.
be a mystery for the ages. Nobody says that.
Not at all. Never.
And if you do, well, God bless you.
I mean, God, get some help. Jesus Christ.
It's worth noting that stories surrounding so-called green men, a humanoid species made up of leafy, chlorophyll-laden plant-like substances, have developed independently in the traditions of separate ancient cultures found throughout the world, beginning in the 2nd century in Iraq and Lebanon and turning up in such far-flung places as Borneo, Europe, Nepal, and India, indicating to many that the legends may be based on more than mere myth, but biological fact. So I don't know, you guys are probably vaguely familiar with the green men phenomenon. Sometimes there's green women, it's mostly green men, and you can see them carved on cathedrals throughout Europe and
Yeah.
obviously temples and other places. And as
Yeah,
mentioned, I
yeah.
mean, like island nations in the South Pacific, the high Himalayas, all throughout Europe. They're just humanoids that sometimes have like leaves and tendrils coming out of them, very Swamp Thing like
Yeah,
you were
sure.
saying earlier. Other times it's exploding out of their mouths, and it seems like almost like the special silencers, that Indonesian movie where people
Oh,
ate magic
Jesus
pills
Christ.
and
Yeah.
plants exploded out of them, but like a very Cronenbergian body
Yeah.
horror type thing. A lot of people now assume, folklorists and anthropologists, people that study it, that they are symbols of rebirth. You know, all the things, all the mythic qualities that you have to put on these fantasy creatures, and all that could be true. But there's another thought that, you know, another set of people that believe that maybe they're based on real creatures that once interacted with humans, because it's so prolific and it establishes itself, much like the Bigfoot legend, in various utterly unconnected cultures throughout the ages. So it's not just you can trace it going from one place to one place to one place like Christianity or any other thing that you can trace from a source like Siddhartha Gautama, you know, is in India, and you see where Buddhism spreads from there. This is just things popping up naturally. It could be a coincidence. It's mysterious regardless. Maybe it's
Yeah.
based on something.
No.
But anyway, the green man phenomenon in the context of this conversation just demands to be mentioned. Okay. Another account, undated, concerns a group of kids who decided to trespass into the expansive Green River Golf Club, which spans Santa Ana Canyon, touching on Riverside, Orange, and San Bernardino counties, in order to go fishing in one of the lakes that dot the course. Coming off Freeway 91, three boys, Antoine and Ania, his cousin and another friend, made their way across the manicured course toward their favorite fishing hole, which was nestled against a hill near the isolated back end of the area. The young trespassers were accustomed to passing the verdant swaths of sycamore, oak, and cottonwood trees that dotted the course, but would be totally unprepared for the dendrological denizens that awaited them. According to the eyewitnesses, they were coming to the end of their long walk when they suddenly noticed that the trees surrounding the small body of water began to move. Likely unsure if what they were seeing was a trick of the light, Antoine and his friends took pause, when, without warning, the ponderous tree creatures separated into two groups and began moving away in opposite directions. That is some shit you do not expect. I've done a lot of night fishing. I've done a lot of dumb shit in woods at night. You know, we live in a rural area. That's what we grew up doing. If I saw that, I don't know what I'd fucking do.
When the trees are trying to flank you, it's not good.
Yeah, one's bad enough.
Well, you got two, yeah.
Yeah, but now they're doing a dance production.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now they're doing West Side Story. I don't want to deal with that.
Dude, the sharks versus the trees.
Oh my.
Yeah.
The stunned anglers froze, staring in utter disbelief as 6 to 10 of these massive monstrosities lumbered away from the lake like speedier versions of the vengeful Tabanga from Allied Artist Pictures' 1957 anti-classic, walking tree horror flick, From Hell It Came. I don't know if any of y'all seen that.
Nope.
It's a piece of shit, and I love it.
Clearly
Awesome.
a classic.
Oh, it's just this black and white. Paul Blaisdell designed it originally, but he didn't make it. You know, the guy who did all the, like, It Conquered the World and The Terror from Beyond Space. Like, he's the unsung monster maker of, like, bad 50s horror. And it's just, it is a walking shitbag tree monster, just exactly like what you'd expect. And it's slow as fuck. And it's full of vengeance. And if you like horrible bad B movies from a certain era, you will love this.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a bunch of Tabangas walking around on the golf course in Santa Ana Canyon. Antoine would later recall, quote, "It's like we startled them and half went one way and half went the other. From the moonlight, we could see the silhouettes move. It looked like the trees started walking, like trying to clear out before we got there. So instead of flanking, it looks like they're like, fuck, it's kids. They got fishing rods.
And they got caught, apparently. Shit, run.
Maybe it's like a tree orgy and they just like got busted doing shit like
Yes.
Maybe they should have been on Ashley Madison. They're cheating on their tree spouses.
Oh,
and they're like, no, busted.
A tree orgy indeed.
It's always an orgy, eventually. Needless to say, the boys abandoned their plans and tore away from the scene post-haste. On an interesting side note, the Green River Golf Club was built near the Santa Ana River in 1958, the same year that a man named Charles Wetzel, while driving over the same river, claimed to have encountered a tall, thin, razor-clawed, pumpkin-headed beast known as the Riverside Brain Tickler.
Oh, we covered that little enigmatic entity.
Yes,
if
we
you
did.
Will.
Though
Yeah.
I don't remember. Was that a Patreon or a real one? Because not that Patreon isn't real, because I went looking back to find out what number it was to cite it, and I couldn't find it to save my life.
I think it's actually a Patreon.
All right.
Yep.
Well, there it is. So if you want to know about that little ditty. Now, this thing's not a tree. It's a
No.
pumpkin-headed, tall, thin, Freddy Krueger clawed fuck-all, and it's an amazing story. But the fact that it was the same basic area, and the fact that it was seen the same year, was like in November 8th, 1958, I believe, the same year that golf course was built, has nothing to do with anything. It's not a fucking tree. It's just a connection, and it was an awesome monster.
Maybe the description of that, though, could possibly be transposed over to the description of what these kids saw.
I kind of thought that, like, if you don't know better, I mean, trees are trees.
Yeah.
And granted, they said they saw silhouettes walking. Now, trees look like fucking trees. So in my mind, it was like moonlight cast silhouettes of broccoli, Christ almighty, broccoli stalks meandering around a golf course. But maybe if it was like weird, big-haired versions of the fucking Riverside Brain Tickler,
Could be.
and they thought just because they're so unnaturally tall and spindly that they were trees.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
Well, I mean, stick bugs look like sticks.
Yeah. No, I mean, many things
yeah.
look like other things for camouflage, 100%. And that's one of the things I think we're definitely going to discuss when we get
I mean,
to it.
that has to be brought up.
It has to be brought up.
Like
Stick bug is
the
literally
biggest
the
thing,
perfect
yeah.
example of, but it's not a fucking stick, but that's the whole point.
Right.
We'll get there.
All right.
We'll get there. The next account took place in 1970 and is a little more up close and personal. In his book, Hidden Realms, Lost Civilizations, and Beings from Other Worlds, esteemed Fortean investigator and author Jerome Clark, whose work I fucking love, I've always been a follower of his work for decades now, chronicled a report that was made to University of Alberta professor Jim Butler by one of his students. According to the account, a couple, while hiking in the wilds of Canada's westernmost province, British Columbia, had encountered a diminutive humanoid creature that can only be described as part human and part plant. On an afternoon sometime in August of 1970, a man and a woman decided to make a trek into the woods near the village of Seashelt, which is located on the coast near the southernmost tip of BC. After miles of hiking, the couple stumbled across a fallen log and decided that it would be a perfect place for a bit of R&R. The couple sat in silence, enjoying the quiet and the warm breeze, but within seconds, this picturesque romantic moment was shattered by the sudden appearance of a thin, muscular, 3-foot-tall, nymph-like creature that came bounding out of the woods.
Was it Glenn Danzig?
It might well have been.
Okay. Was he
Yeah,
just
because I mean,
skipping?
you really just described him.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
And he bounds.
Dude.
I mean, I've seen him move. He's a bounder.
He just comes out going, dirty black summer, and he's just fucking skipping and doing his thing. He's got his little tiny pants.
It was 1970. It was before he hit the big time. He was just a kid in Canada practicing in the woods, wanting to serenade this happy young couple.
This is a ghouls night out. There you go. It could be Glenn Danzig.
Nailed
Chris.
it. We nailed it.
It's probably not.
Fine.
I'm just saying it's probably not.
All right,
All right,
whatever.
I'm going to keep describing this, and we'll see how Danzig-esque
Perfect.
Okay.
it is. The man noticed the thing's skin looked leathery, almost bark-like, and its arms looked like, quote, strange tree roots, end quote. Glenn Danzig.
Nah, it's not him.
The bizarre being stopped within arm's length in front of the duo, who could only stare in astonishment. It was then that the couple felt an overwhelming sense of fear as the entity stomped its trunk-like foot onto the ground and shook a gnarled fist in their faces.
Oh, he did the thing. You kids.
Kids, pumpkins in my woods on my log. That's my wife.
Exactly. Get
It's
off
like
my
the
god.
asshole tree in Wizard of Oz. And he's throwing apples.
Exactly.
Get the fuck out of here, Dorothy. Whatever he was doing, throwing
No,
apples
it's exactly. It's a direct quote from the movie.
Go fuck yourself, Dorothy, you piece of shit. The fuck out of here.
Here's check my apples without asking. Back half. That's my version. That's what I heard.
Oh my god, dude! If you would redub all of Wizard of Oz for me, it would be like a
it's
dream
just
come true.
you, yes.
That could
Everyone
be
would
all
just say
our
fag half
Christmases
every other
forever.
sentence.
It's back half, Dorothy.
Hey, the scarecrow, fag half.
Oh my god, shitty New England Wizard of Oz would be the best thing
Why
to
do we
ever
always
happen.
always default to the New England? I don't get it. Everything we do.
I don't know.
It's just one of the crappy things we're mildly capable of achieving.
Jesus Christ. This episode of the Cryptonaut Podcast is brought to you by BetDSI.com. NFL and college football is back. Whether you're a novice or professional, BetDSI is the sport book for you. BetDSI.com has been paying winners for over 20 years, and they offer over 10,000 betting options daily on all the sports you love to watch. This also includes a live casino and daily fantasy. BetDSI offers betting options for everything you can bet on the NFL, college football, NBA, NHL, UFC, golf, and all other major sports. Now, I didn't realize you could do this, but apparently you can. You can place bets on politics, reality TV, esports, pretty much anything you think you can put a bet on. You can definitely do it here at BetDSI.com. New members get a 100% bonus match using promo code CRYPTO100. That's more than double your money to start winning today. Use your sports and pop culture knowledge to make some extra cash this week. And once again, that is at BetDSI.com. Use promo code CRYPTO100 and get this limited time 100% bonus offer. You can use Bitcoin and get a 100% deposit bonus on your first 2 deposits up to $2,000. It's only a game until you bet it at BetDSI.
All right.
Okay.
Before they could even react, the tiny tree-like figure darted back into the camouflage of the forest with uncanny alacrity, leaving the shocked pair to process what they'd just seen and, presumably, rush back to the safety of their densely populated campus home. Intriguingly, when the unidentified male witness confided the experience to Butler. He mentioned that the creature appeared to be both naked and clothed at the same time, and that it seemed simultaneously corporeal and ghost-like.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I know.
Now he's just thrown, you know what?
Hold on, before we get
Now
too
I'm just
pissed.
getting mad.
Despite these seemingly contradictory observations, even decades after the event, the man claimed that he could remember every haunting detail of the being's face. So I
I'm calling
agree,
malark on that.
and I totally empathize with Chris's frustration with that. The one thing I can say is, in terms of the clothes, who knows how like the leaves were draped? Maybe in like classic nymph fashion, these, esoteric creatures that, hail from another plane of existence, this fairyland. Maybe it looked like a wraparound leafy toga or like a vine Speedo or who the fuck knows what. Now, in terms of the appearing solid and that, did it have like a weird mist that accompanied it? Was it occasionally translucent? Unfortunately, it's not elaborated on, so I don't know what he saw. But I agree that gets the cryptozoological dander up in me, in that, all right, if this is real and this thing could exist, we are going to discuss the possibilities of how it could. But once it starts becoming this phantasmagorical fuck all, then you're just like, well, god damn it. Now you're just you're a magical little wizard
I don't
tree.
know what it's other than the first description. I don't know what I'm seeing anymore. 3 foot tall, leathery, bark-like roots. Now you got future robes. You can't see through it. What the fuck, dude? Like,
No, it becomes, more difficult to see.
pick your attributes wisely.
It's like it's a ghost, but it's not a ghost. It's a solid but a liquid at the same time.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to follow our rules, but yeah.
There
It
you go.
looked like it's sublimated.
There it is.
Fucking dick.
All dicks sublimate.
All right.
Alrighty.
Whether plant or animal, sentient or not, walking tree reports have been on the rise, with encounters allegedly having taken place in Florida in the late 2000s, as well as in the South Mountain State Park of North Carolina, along the trail to Chestnut's Knob in June of 2015. Old Chestnut's Knob. What do you expect? If you're going to find a walking tree, it's going to be on Chestnut's Knob.
It kind of has to be. If you didn't, I would be disappointed.
I would be pissed.
Totally.
Though these accounts have proven difficult to dig up. I've found mere mentions, that's it. Okay. The last case we're going to detail here is a bit of an outlier, but may have some connection to the walking tree phenomenon. So we've decided to include it here. The event was transcribed onto the Phantom and Monsters website from a call made to Coast Radio, which we all know and love, on January 22nd, 2016, by a soldier named Tim who hailed from Kentucky. Tim's account is repeated here in full, and here it goes. One time back when I was in the Army, I was out in Fort Hood, Texas doing maneuvers, and I was the lucky one with radio watch that particular night. So I'm sitting there doing my little hour-long shift, and we've got ranchers there. They've got the cattle range on the land, and they would eat the grass. Well, one of them came up to our area of operation, and he had his little whip, and so I was kind of talking to him because I was bored. There wasn't much else going on, and he didn't speak any English, and my Spanish is really bad. So I was like, great, I can practice, and it'll help keep me awake. And so we're sitting there talking for a while. It got to be the end of my shift, and I had to wake up the next guy. The farmer's not supposed to be there, so I'm like, hey, man, you got to go. And he wouldn't leave. Finally, I was like, no, man, you got to get. I got to get the next guy up. So I reach over to grab a hold of him, and ... he turned into a bush.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
The little farmer with a whip. He just turns into
The little rancher with the whip.
He's a fucking shrub.
He's a shrub.
And now, what the fuck do I do with this?
Yeah, he really did. The man continued.
Okay.
He just turned into a tree, he repeats. He writes, ... because it's a phone call. It's not him writing, actually, so it's a transcription of what he said. That tree wasn't there when we set up, so you can almost hear the agitation in his voice. He goes on to say, he was gone. He just turned into a tree. I was like, oh my God. And I got the next guy up because it was his time, and he was talking about, why do we put our camp right here with this tree in the middle?
Jesus Christ.
When you gotta go get Jeff up, and Jeff said, "Where the fuck is there a tree? It wasn't here when I went to bed."
This is stupid. Why would we have done that? Like, he doesn't even remember. He's like, what the fuck were we thinking?
Like, I don't know, man. I wasn't talking to some weird farmer with a whip who turned into a tree. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, nothing stupid. He goes on. I mean, I tell you what, it was just like a little shrub. Like it had just grown overnight or something. It stood about 5 or 6 feet, period. Just weird, period.
Jesus.
End of story. Yeah, just fucking weird.
All right, well.
You got that right, Tim. So, again, I know we're dealing with a lot of different things, and I came very close to including a ghost tree. We're going to save that for another day because that's a fun account, and that, I thought that would make this too convoluted. We have to limit the scope somehow because all paranormal tree things can't fit under the same umbrella.
Right.
There are alien trees, like the arboreal abomination and other things, that we will also deal with in the future, but that alien and ghost trees are going to get their own fucking thing.
Okay.
This is walking trees that may or may not be dressed and or corporeal. I don't know about were trees. I'm not sure where I can stand on this. It's fucking hard. But let me wrap this up because that's the last account we're dealing with. We'll give the outro here and then we'll fucking break this down to the best of our ability. With the lack of eyewitness identification and the bizarre nature of the accounts, reports like those we've discussed are difficult even for Forteans to take seriously. But that doesn't mean there isn't truth within them that deserves an objective look. Could we, as evidenced by millennia of legends surrounding green men and women, be sharing our world with an archaic species that somehow managed to combine or even transcend the seemingly insurmountable boundaries between plant and animal? One that has managed to survive virtually undetected with its incredible camouflage or employing centuries-long hibernation techniques? Or are these visitors from another planet, galaxy, dimension, or even magical Magonia-like world of elemental spirits and seemingly to the earthly eye supernatural creatures as told and retold in fairy lore throughout the ages? Or are we dealing with dark, windy nights fueled by overactive imaginations and a natural fear of the unknown things that lurk in the deep, dark forests? Perhaps it's a little bit of both.
Walking trees.
Walking trees.
There you
Not
go.
to be confused with walking squid
No.
or walking tall or
Yep.
walk hard.
Right.
You walk backwards.
You can walk the line.
You can walk.
Walk
the
this
line.
way.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Johnny
there you
Cash
go.
might have been a tree person. He was grizzled as fuck. That might have been like really good foundation makeup.
Right.
Maybe tree people want to perform, and boy, he had soul.
So, are you thinking that, kind of like you mentioned in the end of your story here, that this is some sort of just like race of beings that exist alongside us that like they're just tree people?
So let's
like
break down.
vegetation that's like alive.
And I understand the grunt, Chris, but let's break. No, it serves us. It behooves us to break down options.
Okay. Well, the biggest one we talked about, I think, should be the first one, which was, I mean, there are clearly things that mimic trees.
Yes.
Or tree-like things.
Okay, so
Right.
they're using it as
So
some
not plant things.
Could it be
insects
an
and
animal
whatnot.
species that, like the stick bug,
right.
like Chris pointed out earlier, have an uncanny ability to look like trees? Now, they happen to be much bigger.
Yep.
Probably aren't insects, especially the 20-foot tall one, or the ones that, are who knows how tall on the golf course. But maybe. I don't think so. I don't think there's enough oxygen in the atmosphere. I don't think gravity allows for insects to be that big anymore, like the super dragonflies of yore. But could it be a different kind of creature, whatever phylum it falls under, that is mimicking trees because it makes an incredible hunk of camouflage? If whether you're living in British Columbia or the Amazonian rainforest, it's a possibility. So that's one. A non-plant species that looks incredibly like a plant species to hide and has done so successfully for since the dawn of its existence.
I mean,
Sure.
if you are going to pick something to camouflage as like trees or vegetations, would be perfect because we're the plants fucking covered in it, unless of course you're in a desert. But for the most part, I think the world's full of vegetation.
Well,
so
yeah, camouflage
it works out.
adaptations obviously are geared towards the environment you're in.
Right.
Survival of the fittest and whatnot. And we talked about a little bit with the Leannalau, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that lake monster in Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula, I think, that will basically look like a walking stick again, but like an aquatic one,
yeah.
but with two big anime eyes and swam under the kid's boat.
Yep.
Or after he tried to tie a rope to it. So that's a real possibility. One that I think if you are like a biologically inclined zoologist / cryptozoologist, you would most likely embrace, because the alternatives get progressively more difficult to comprehend and swallow.
Right.
Yeah.
The second being that a certain kind of plant evolved. Could something have evolved in the tree or the plant realm that mimicked animal life? Because we know there's like convergent or parallel, I don't always know the exact words, like bats and birds, say, like things that develop basically the same ways of dealing with an environment, but are foundationally different.
Right.
And even the way they're dealing with it are foundationally different, but from a distance they look like the same thing, maybe. But is it possible that some plants just evolved to be able to move if they need to, and maybe have just at least the fundamental ability to work their way into a more hospitable environment if they have to, or to freeze even for decades at a time, just be there.
Right.
Not like super meditatively, just like that's what they do. That's what they're designed to be. Again, all of this is just brand new, wild, pissing in the wind speculation.
Right.
But if these things did exist, these are some of the attributes they would almost certainly have to have.
So with a couple of these cases where it's definitely like humanoid-esque, like where it's the little tiny Glenn Danzig coming out or whatever, or you've got
the Green Knight guy that was in
or the
Yosemite
the rancher, the last one they're turning into a
which is a whole
tree.
different thing. Let's just put that in its own fucking section for now.
I feel like the very first one was just the poltergeist scenario.
Right.
I mean,
the tree gets uprooted to hit your house. There's detritus. The tree continues to go on its merry way.
So, all right, let's be hyper skeptical on that one. In my mind, the wind, I don't know if she's a meteorologist, probably not, might have been able to blow, say, like part of the face of a tree, like the bark and some limbs, not the whole girth of the trunk, but just a hunk of it. It's leaning against her house at an angle. What branches that are left are whipping against it. The gales are still pretty fierce. It really didn't embed itself in the ground. It really didn't even have enough of a base to do anything but maybe gouge a few ripples.
Right.
That would be noticeable. And then somehow in the wind, it gets blown in the road. A torrent of water washes it the opposite way, or some kids get it and whittle it into a fucking homemade Tom Sawyer rep. I don't fucking know, but just it's a hunk of lumber with some branches. When you're scared and alone, it looks like a full-ass tree outside your window.
I could see that.
Well, sure, you get poltergeisted.
You get poltergeist, you're
you knew
scared.
it was dark and stormy, so that helps lend credence to that theory of...
Start freaking out,
And your paranoia is going to be to the max. Because if I'm alone during the quote-unquote dark and stormy night, and all of a sudden the tree that's not supposed to be there is hitting at the window, I mean, I probably still am dumb enough to go out and investigate, but I understand you're not going to be necessarily interpreting everything as it actually is. Now, in a way, that's me sort of shitting on the eyewitness who insisted that it was in the ground and it wasn't, did not say it was leaning against her house. But then again, she didn't specifically say it wasn't either. So this one I can safely, or I can feel comfortable with putting into the skeptical side of the ledger and being like, there's enough to indicate that this could have just been storm garbage.
Yeah.
It scared her. And it fucking blew and washed away.
Yeah, that's why like the only two where they seem like humanoid things are the ones really.
Which even then, it just seems like we
have the next one is the three camping men up in.
There's the dance number.
Oh yeah, the weird.
And then the
kids that broke onto the golf course in Santa Ana.
Could be the brain tickler.
There's the Sierra Sky Lodge or whatever.
Yeah.
Three camping men, the three anglers, and the couple that ran into, the Danzig shrub. So for a second, let's just discuss what the Sierra hikers, the three men that were doing the 2 a.m. hike saw, the thing that I've kind of dubbed the Green Knight, the 20-foot tall thing that was leaning against the trees. Now, that would seem to be in line with what the kids saw in the Santa Ana golf course, and that they're tall tree-like things.
Yeah.
But here's the key difference, and this is something you just can't help but to notice. The three hikers hear the bramble rustling. They hear all the movement in the forest, all the things that would freak you out. They turn with the flashlight. Guy sees a 20-foot tall, seemingly human-like thing with long, spindly limbs and leaves coming out the fingertips, and it looks like a dude standing next to a tree. They fucking freak the fuck out, understandably, and get out of Dodge. What is not specifically said, and this really bothers me, is they didn't see it move. They didn't say if they saw it move.
Yeah.
So could it have been a bear? Could it have been like 3 badgers fucking doing whatever 3 badgers do? Could it have been whatever? And then he turns
standing
and
on
then
each other's
through
shoulders.
classic pareidolia, you see this thing that looks like a humanoid, and we've all seen tree faces. We've seen the
Right.
fuck out of tree faces.
Yeah.
I'm being hard skeptical now because I really want there to be a place for these things, but we can't ignore obvious things. If the thing had leaned forward, if the thing had lurched towards them, then all of that would be out the window.
Right.
But they heard a sound, turned, and then saw what may or may not have been an immobile 20-foot tall Green Knight standing there.
Right.
And so we have to at least entertain the possibility that they just saw a really unique tree and never went back to confirm it.
Yeah.
Even if they had gone back the next day and there was nothing there, I would be cool with it.
And it just scared the fuck out of them.
On the other hand, it could still be some anomalous life form. And at this point, then we have to think to ourselves, what is this? Why would it be there? And how is it evaded,
Right.
being seen? And so now let's move to the Santa Ana golf course incident. Well, at what point do you fucking run away? Like, I've never read a case of trees running away.
No.
Like, your best defense... Like a deer fucks up. When a deer freezes, it's like you just made yourself an easy target. You fucked up, son. I'm sorry.
Right.
But fucking when a tree freezes, game over. It won.
Like, especially if
That's
it's
tree
multiple.
checkmate.
Were they all rooted? I mean, they'd have to unroot. I mean, there'd be just holes everywhere.
Oh,
If they
definitely.
just booked,
Yeah.
like they're, if they a picture
And,
something.
unless they were never rooted. Unless they were just creatures that looked
Duke
like
rooting?
trees.
Which makes me think back
Yes,
to,
if they were not trees, sure.
back to the tie-in with the river, the brain tickler there.
Yeah.
If it's a group of those things,
Sure.
and just because of however it's dark or whatever, you're seeing things, and that thing was skinny and weird and all dangly and like Vegetable Man-esque or whatever.
Oh,
If it's a-
totally.
If it's a group of those things that are down there just fucking hanging out, shooting the shit, doing whatever, smoking butts, and all of a sudden they see the kids like, oh fuck, we gotta get out of here,
But
and they jet.
that was like the only. That's like on or near the golf course or by a lake on the golf course.
It was
or-
a lake on
Yeah.
the
Like,
far
but that's
end
the
of
only,
a golf course.
Unless they're nomadic or something. Like nobody, golf courses are. I mean, people are there all the time.
Right.
They're
But
well
there's no
manicured.
other sighting of a group of
weird walking
trees running around
yeah.
and doing.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
That doesn't debunk anything. I'm just saying it's funny that
There are wooded areas around there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not an expert on it, but Google mapped it real quick, and you can see there's forest. So if they were like foraging creatures, or even tree people, just walking out,
I don't think they're treeple.
just want to hang out by the fucking lake, have a nice evening picnic with their extramarital affair lovers, as we established, and just doing whatever they're doing, and they're like, fucking humans. But again, you'd think, I mean, trees have been around so fucking long. And if these things have been around even half as long, you'd think they'd learn the protocol of hiding, and you don't run when you see people. Otherwise, there would be accounts left and right, especially in Bigfoot lore, and all of a sudden this tree just fucking did a double take at me and shot off in the other direction. I'm like,
Jetted.
fuck.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
happened? Or now we can move into other theories. Extraterrestrial.
Oh,
If these were just tall, shaggy, seemingly leafy things, because they were mostly silhouetted in the moonlight in this one
Right.
account, and they were meandering around the lake doing whatever the fuck extraterrestrials want to do, their first reaction is often when human beings come is to get out. Well, either they freeze them and abduct them or do some heinous shit, or they just
Right.
get the fuck out of Dodge. That's always what the protocols are, it seems like.
Yeah, what a bummer though that they come from a distant galaxy and you're like, it looks like a tree. Like, fuck, really couldn't look cooler.
Well, look at Stumps with their Star Trek shirts and their fucking
yeah,
weird
that's
crab leg
right.
roots.
Yeah, that's true. We actually were contacted. I don't know if we told the listeners this, but we were actually contacted by someone who was involved with the Stumps case, which is pretty interesting. So
Definitely.
that will be saved for probably a Patreon episode at some point. But yeah, we have another tie back to there. So extraterrestrial speaking, I mean,
maybe.
there was like a UFO sighting or something. But I mean, even like if you're gonna go like interdimensional, like if this is just something that's living in a reality adjacent to us, kind of weird. Like if it's an alternate Earth that everything just like trees became people and people became trees or whatever. Whatever fucking weird dichotomy that is. I mean, I don't
Dragons
know.
are butterflies.
Yeah.
Trees.
Up is
Trees
down.
are people.
Dude, fucking strengthen your strength,
I don't know
dog.
what that
There
means.
you go.
We're full of minerals and iron and good for their diet, and
I think
they're
I-
business trees.
I'm thinking a lot of this. I'm going towards that brain tickler theory, especially with that case itself, because it seems like if that was a group of creatures that were in the area and they were gathered on that golf course, if it's dark enough and you're standing far enough away and you see a move, they already are fucking bizarre looking as it is. You're like, oh shit, those are trees.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think they're the same thing? Or is the brain tickler, you think like the boss, and then the underlings
I'm assuming they're
don't look quite as much as the progenitor?
Oh, right. But
You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're young versions of
right.
it.
Could be.
I mean, these things in the artistic renditions I've seen essentially look like pumpkin heads.
Right.
Not like the Great Pumpkin head, which is what I thought Pumpkinhead should look like, but like the Stan Winston Pumpkinhead,
Yeah.
which is
right,
this weird
from the movie.
You know, like
Which, you know-
like a Dover demon mixed with an alien from
Yeah.
Giger.
Yeah. So moving on to the case where the couple were sitting on the log and the little tiny Glenn Danzig came out.
Right.
Just shaking the fist is I really fucking
Oh, I
gets
love
me
it.
because he's like, "Get the fuck off!" He's like, "You're sitting on Fred. What's wrong with you?"
Disrespectful sons of bitches.
I mean, I could see that just being.
What's funny is it fucking stomps at it actually has like an interaction with them. Like it makes
it's
them
not
move.
happy.
Seemingly, yes.
Seemingly, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not happy they're there. No
And they
doubt
fucking
about it.
jet.
This I
So-
picture the little force sprite, like you see in any
Right.
fantastical.
Yeah.
It's a little thing that just happens to have twigs growing off it, but that's just the pagan personification of a forest nymph
Exactly.
or a
Right.
spirit.
Totally.
It's humanoid, but it has leaves and shit.
Yeah.
And again, nymph type things. These I sometimes describe as like these beautiful young ladies or whatever. It's not just European lore. It's Hindu lore. It's Shinto.
A lot of
lore.
them have those.
Yeah,
things.
these things are pretty common, and they're like I think they're called the Kalinagent or something in the Philippines. So again, like the Green Man, there are a lot of parallels in different cultures to small plant-like humanoids that seem to be just more, I guess, in tune with the earth. Like, and so that opens up a whole other thing. Like we've talked about the foundational
Foundational creatures.
Oh, yeah.
the elementals. I mean, again, I've always taken it with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert on fairy lore at all. I'm intrigued, but I always want to figure out how it fits into, I guess, a more scientific framework of either cryptozoological, anthropological, or perhaps ufological phenomenon. But if you just take it at face value, sure, a lot of it is superstition made by human beings that don't have a scientific understanding of the natural processes of the earth, so they attribute it to intelligent beings that are like them, but perhaps more advanced in certain ways. Absolutely, I can accept that. But you can also maybe entertain the thought that maybe there's a kernel of truth in there.
Right.
Maybe there are Magonia-type entities that we would call fairies in lore, or pixies, or nymphs, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. But they really are in tune with the water or the earth or plants, and they can resemble, and they are very protective of their lands. And in the case of the British Columbia couple, that comes as close to something that seems to be very territorial and of the land than any of the cases, which are much harder to wrap your heads around.
Get off my damn lawn, you kids.
It really does. It's a
Get off my
surly
log.
old nymph. The one, you sons of
Yeah,
bitches.
that seems to be. It's like you stretches from, like I said, actual non-plant based thing that has plant-like qualities to like a vegetable man.
Yeah.
That seems like it is
Yeah.
an actual photosynthesis creature just with some human qualities.
Yeah.
And I know there's like things like mandrakes, but I think they were just like plants that looked like human beings that they used in like alchemical and sorcery bullshit. But I know they were supposed to, I don't know if they were humanoid plants or if they were just plants that looked like humans and screamed a terrible scream that fucked you up.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know
Yeah,
the lore
I-
behind
I'm
that.
not
But there's
sure.
all sorts of, and it gets corrupted lore of crossovers. And if there is even a tiny chance that there could be, it would be interesting if say this little guy was representative of it. Like, yeah, no, I mean, I'm taking humanoid form, but I'm not a human.
Right.
I'm not even a mammal. I'm not even fucking an animal. I'm a plant who's intelligent, and this is my shit, and you're sitting on my buddy, and the fuck out of my lawn.
A little miniature swamp thing. He gives you one of those tubers, and you
maybe.
trip balls, and there you go. You fall in love with them.
There it is.
Okay.
Perfect. I do like the Magonia aspect, though, because this definitely does kind of have a hint of, like, this could be some possible, crossing over to the other world. The weird fucking Tales from the Dark Side shift, if you will.
Right.
The last case that we did there, which guy
we have to get to
in the Air Force, like that one's just like you're hanging out with this dude all night, talking to him, trying to practice your Spanish. You're like, bro, you gotta go.
You gotta go.
And he turns into a bush. Like,
Dude,
what the fuck do you do?
He's like, all right, I'm out.
You gotta fucking go.
He's gone.
So
Like,
here's
it almost
again.
seems like some weird spiritual, like fucking witch type shit. Like it could.
Yeah, is that like straight occult?
Yeah, like
There's no
we have
way.
no basis for it, but
Really?
it could be.
I know it could be.
mean,
It could be all the things. It could be elemental. It could be
Yeah.
extraterrestrial. It could be straight occult. It could be dude on fucking trucker speed, fucking trying to keep awake for his watch on the radio,
Just talking to a tree
and
all
there's like
night.
this fucking shrub there,
He
and it's
for
got like a
fucking
curly
sure
little
was.
branch that looks like a fucking whip. I hate myself for being so skeptical now, but I can't help it. And he's just trying to talk Spanish, and there's like a little whisper, and it's like "Sea Diablo" or some bullshit, "Super Macado," and he's just like, "Yeah, el gato es muy grande." He's trying to fucking like talk and not understanding, but the thing's not even talking back. He's in like a half dream state, and then finally it's like, "Oh no!" Like you said earlier, it's time for Jeff to get up. I can crash out. He's like, "Dude, you gotta go. Dude, you gotta go." And when he touches them, he feels the leaves, and all of a sudden it manifests as exactly what it always was.
a tree.
A fucking tree
He was talking
that
to a
was
tree.
not speaking Spanish at all.
Right,
Because
100%.
obviously we all know fucking trees speak Latvian, so it's fucking
Dude,
ridiculous.
imagine that you're so shot. You're speaking to a tree all night, and then you're fucking freaked out. You're like, dude, I gotta get Terry up, and you've got to go.
And he's like, "Why the fuck do we put a camp next to this cowboy
Dude, they
tree
were
with a
fucking
whip?"
drunk and they just set up a tent. Nobody noticed the
exactly
fucking
it,
tree. They don't remember doing it.
exactly
They
it.
probably actually did talk to an actual guy.
Yeah, at some point,
He
yeah.
probably passed out from it. The guy took off and he's like, holy shit, he turned into a tree.
No, literally, the guy could have been sitting right in front of the fucking bush.
He woke up his
Dude-
friend.
dude
He's like,
looks
what
away.
is there a tree here?
He gets up and the bush is still there. He's like, "No shit."
Oh, that's great.
I mean, we have with all respect for our armed forces, and we have nothing but we have a lot of loved ones that are involved in it.
It's
You
great.
can be fatigued, you can be fucked up. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Tim really seems to insist. It's like, dude, it was 5 or 6 foot tall fucking shrub. It wasn't there when we put down camp. It was there. So I get there's part of me that definitely identifies with like, yeah, dude, I get it. But there's part of me that can't help but be like, yeah, but dude.
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
talked to trees intentionally and not intentionally.
Right.
I've talked to trees. Is that going to be your next book? I've talked to trees intentionally and unintentionally. Oh, shit. There you have it. Thank you all so very much for joining us walking trees. These trees are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do, Robert.
Facts and science. But
There you
also,
go.
trees are actually really smart, and there's no scientific difference between trees and shrubs. I just wanted to mention those two things.
Excellent.
We'll deal with them later.
So then, okay, I might be hating on trees in the beginning of the pod here, but I do have a tree that's in my my front area where I do my mulch, where I do my
Okay.
trimming. There's a tree there. Every year, you know what I do with it? I decorate it. I put spindle lights around it. I turn it on and make it look pretty for my wife because she likes it.
Ah.
So there is a tree on my property. It's a
So you
tiny
hold
tree.
it hostage for the love of your wife?
If it grows too big, I'll have to set it on fire.
Oh,
probably,
do you tell it
but-
that every day? Do you whisper to it?
Yeah. I'm
Do you
like,
know how close you are?
like, you're so
you stunt
close.
your own growth.
As soon as you get over 4.5 feet
I will
tall,
kill
I'm
you.
cutting you
Wow.
down.
And I won't turn you into sweet paper. I won't turn you into anything good.
Yeah, nothing.
You die
That's
for
what's
nothing.
going to make it walk to you and kill
Exactly.
Probably,
All right,
yeah.
and again, the elephant in the room. Not that, again, it's all sketchy and we have been more skeptically minded than we usually are, but it demands it. But if any fucking form of life on Earth has been done seriously wrong,
It's trees.
It's the fucking tree.
Yeah.
And as much as I loathed the Kindle when it came out and I don't like ebooks, I like tangible fucking paper books. I understand that it is the wholesale holocaust of fucking just
it's bad.
miles and miles of trees. We destroy rainforest. We annihilate them for anything we want all the time and only occasionally replant them the way we should. If anything could become sentient and move and would cause us a great deal of terror, it's fucking trees. So we should be, I mean, you can't be careful anymore. The damage is done. We're fucked if it happens.
Yeah, you can't take it back.
You can apologize to trees when
Yeah.
you see them, but I don't know how far that'll go either.
Or if you can just threaten them that they're growing taller, they're going to come down.
Yeah, that's true, too.
There it is.
But
Perfect.
I mean, if there's one thing that goes rogue that we need to be cautious of,
It's definitely trees.
and fucking M. Night Shyamalan did not do it justice. at all.
We will not talk about
Give
that
that movie a second try.
Shut
all
the
right?
fuck up. Jesus Christ. Just end the fucking pod.
Yeah, just watch Day of the Trippids. They're not
damn
really
it.
trees, but at least it's a cool walking plant movie.
Nice. There it is. Cryptonaut Podcast, Patreon, patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast is what I meant to say. Check it out there. Thank you to everyone that supports us over there, the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks. Follow us. We are out there. We are doing our things. Hellerspace.com. Get yourself those t-shirts as mentioned in the beginning of this pod. We have 4 new designs up. Now, it is Axie Alvarado did a really awesome job for us on the River Gnomes. And
Yeah, it's super dope.
We got 2 different versions of that, so be sure to check that out. We got the cool 80s synthwave, and then we got the Hobie Surf one, which is pretty dope. And then we have the Please Danzig Don't Sue Us Too Hard Misfits Fiend Club ripoff, which is there too, available and green and in white, so be sure to check
Yeah, but
that
Mark,
out.
I disagree. When I was drawing those, I wasn't thinking about that at all. So when he takes responsibility for it, I want you to know that in no way, shape, or form was I thinking about the Crimson Ghost or the Fiend Club. I was creating something wholly original.
Yeah.
Good sir, we are an LLC, a 3-man partnership, so when one of us gets sued, guess what? We all get sued.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
We
No,
totally
I have a
ripped it off.
clause
It
in
was
there that I
great.
didn't tell you guys about.
What's that?
Oh, boy.
There's a clause in there I didn't tell you guys about.
Is that on the page that wasn't signed that we have to get signed again?
No.
Oh,
the
damn
secret
it.
page
We
that
have
you
an unsigned page?
Yes, we do.
Unsigned page.
Oh, what the fuck is wrong with us?
Listen, this whole fucking last month and a half has been an absolute shit show, but we did get a lot done.
Yes, we did.
And we got a lot of business things
All right, so we're all in it
which is super
together,
dope.
and
Totally.
please, Mr. Danzig, be cool.
Yes. Yeah, please, Mr. Danzig, be cool. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Just be cool with trees.
Nice.
Hey.
Bye.